Hey guys, welcome to the very first Taking Back Friday of November. Can't believe that it's getting so close to the end of 2020. But today I want to share with you some of the collaborations that we've been doing in the knitting world. And I want to share with you some of the things that are happening with our yarns. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that. Hey there, thank you so much for being here. My name is Felicia from SweetGeorgia, and this is Taking Back Friday. This is a space where we come every Friday and we talk about knitting or spinning or weaving or dyeing. I like to talk about the fiber arts, and I like to talk specifically about how important it is to make time to make things. Now, today I want to talk to you about some collaborations that SweetGeorgia and myself that we have been doing very recently. And the very first one that I want to let you know about is a collaboration that we've done with Vickie Howell. Vickie Howell of The Knit Show, of so many shows. Vickie Howell of longtime knitting and crochet instructor and yarn ambassador. And now Vickie Howell has come out with a subscription box, a subscription yarn box that you can get, and it's called YarnYAY. So if you haven't heard of it before, you can check out her website. It's YarnYAY.com. We'll have links to it below and everything. Each month, Vickie's subscription box features a number of different makers. And so there might be a yarn maker, there might be a notions maker, there might be a pattern maker, and a bunch of different things. So in the November subscription box, there's a skein of our superwash DK yarn in the dried lavender colorway, and also a pattern that's a knitted cowl pattern that was designed by Vickie. And so that knitted cowl uses the dried lavender, looks lovely, beautiful. And then there's also a crochet version of a cowl, and that one is designed by Detroit Knots. So there's a cowl pattern, but there's a knit version and a crochet version. So that's something that very specifically Vickie always offers, is this ability to do both crafts. And there's also a couple of other goodies in the box. One of them is a set of labels that are made by Kylie and the Machines. Very, very cute. And then the other one, very excited about this, is it's a little bracelet kit from Hello Bargello. So a couple of weeks ago, I was wearing these little earrings, these little Bargello earrings that I made from a kit from Hello Bargello, and they're so much fun to make. They're so easy and quick. I made them in just like in a couple hours in one evening, and it was really, really fun to do. I still have enough canvas to make a whole bunch more, and that's something I plan to do when I have more time. But in this November subscription box, Hello Bargello has a bracelet kit that you can use with some yarn and to make this plastic canvas bracelet. Very, very cool. So very excited to do this collaboration with Vickie this month for November. Very excited to do any collaboration with Vickie, really. So very, very excited about this kit. So if you are interested at all in this subscription box, you can go check out Vickie's offering at YarnYAY.com, and you can subscribe for just 1 month. You can get 3 months, you can get 6 months, you can get however long you'd like. And every month she does an unboxing video. So you can actually see the unboxing for the November kit if you want to get a preview to see what's actually inside the box. So we'll have a link to that as well. You can go check out Vickie unboxing our yarn from her November subscription box. The second thing that I want to share with you guys is that this month we have just released a brand new exclusive limited time sock blank. We have been so enjoying working with these sock blanks. You can knit with them, you can make them into scarves and cowls, into socks, into hand woven scarves. Lots and lots of wonderful things that you can do with a knitted sock blank. And so I'm going to share with you the one that we're making for November, and it is this one. It's called Tapestry. Tapestry is a hand-painted color that we make on our Tough Love sock right now, but we're also making it as a knitted sock blank now. So you can see it kind of unravels from this end. We've talked about sock blanks many, many times before. If you guys need some guidance on how to use a sock blank, we have some videos about that, so we'll link to that as well. But you can see that you just kind of unravel it, and as you unravel it, you can knit it into something else, or you could wind the entire thing into a ball so that you can decide which end you want to start working from. So many different ways of working with a sock blank, but I'll show you the sample that we knit up. This is knit up by Charlotte, I believe, and this is the Kiowa shawl. The Kiowa shawl is a pattern that we released in one of our fall collections for SweetGeorgia, and it used to be just a 2-color shawl. It's 2 colors contrast, 1 skein of a light color, 1 skein of a dark color. So in this case, for the light color, we subbed with the grapefruit, which is a semi-solid color, and then for the darker contrast color, we subbed with the Tapestry Sock Blank. So you can see how that's worked up. It's really, really cool. I just really love seeing the color progression and these gradients moving from one color to the next color. And so it just all happens automatically, auto-magically. It's beautiful. So that is the Kiowa shawl that has been knit with this Tapestry Sock Blank. Now, the next project I want to tell you about is something I'm actually super, super excited about. And a couple of weeks ago, I talked about how Operation Sock Drawer was finally going to be published. And I did a live stream sort of with the girls from Stockinette Zombies. And there was a whole bunch of the designers of this Operation Sock Drawer book that all showed up, and we were all chatting and sharing our patterns. And that live stream, you can still see, it's on YouTube, should be available. But I wanted to share that with you guys here as well, because at the time when I was talking about it, I didn't have a copy of the book, but I have since received my copy of this book. This is so exciting, you guys. So if you are at all unfamiliar with this project, this was started by the Knitmore Girls. The Knitmore Girls is a mother-daughter team who started a podcast, and they talked a lot about socks and how they were inspired by Susan B. Anderson's drawer of socks. You might have seen it floating around on the internet somewhere, but there's like a drawer with all of these hand-knit socks folded beautifully and in a sock drawer. It's beautiful. And so they came up with this idea of filling your sock drawer with all hand knit socks. And so that's where this book came from. So Operation Sock Drawer. So you can find this hashtag on Instagram. The hashtag is Operation Sock Drawer. And you can just see all these knitters with all the socks that they've knit and anything that they've knit that is worthy of putting into their sock drawer, they've photographed and put in there. And so this book is meant as inspiration for different pattern ideas for knitting socks. And I have to say that the patterns in this book are super unique, very different, very unconventional. We learn to knit socks toe up or cuff down or whatever it is, and I knit a lot of vanilla socks, just plain old stockinette vanilla socks. I enjoy it, but there's so much possibility and potential out there for the different kinds of socks that you could create. And so I encourage you, if you haven't seen this book yet, to look at the live stream that was on YouTube with all the designers talking about their socks, and then just have a flip through, because there are really, truly beautiful designs in here, very unique designs. Now, one of my favorite designs from this book is designed by Ethan Lynn, and he has made these socks called Tolstoy's Triumphant Thermals. And the idea behind his sock design is that these are a pair of socks that are knit simultaneously. So you basically knit both socks at the same time, one sock inside of the other. So when you finally finish the socks and you cast off, you're able to pull the inside sock out and you have two socks. It sounds absolutely phenomenally amazing. So that's one of my favorites. And there's also so many beautiful designs of socks where you can use leftover bits of yarn, things that are fingering weight that have been left over from other projects. So I encourage you to check that out if you can. Now I'm going to share with you the socks because I found them in my attic. These are the socks that I designed for Operation Sock Drawer. I know they're a bit funky. These are called the Abbye sock. I'm very, very thankful to the Knitmore Girls for choosing this design because I know they're a little bit unusual. But basically the idea is that these socks, they're called Abbye, and they were inspired by my personal love of ski socks or snowboard socks. So if you've ever bought some snowboard socks, a lot of the ones that are available right now from a company called Smart Wool that I was buying a lot of these socks from, they have an elasticized section in the middle of the foot area. So this part of a snowboard sock would have elastic in it, and it's designed to like snugly fit around your foot so that it provides more support, more stability. It's not going anywhere. These snowboard socks also tend to be on the thicker side of things, and they tend to go up to your knee. So they're very, very long. And so I like the socks that sort of are snug around the foot. So a lot of what I wanted to design was inspired by that idea. Now, I love snowboard socks so much that I was wearing them even if I wasn't on the mountain. I would just wear them around the house because I loved the feel of how cushy and thick and how snug they were. And so that's what I wanted to create in a sock design. The other thing about the sock design is they're called après. So the idea is that you would wear them après ski. You wear them after you finish on the mountain. And I imagined in my head, curling up by a fireplace with your hot chocolate or whatever drink you want, and to be sitting there cozy next to the fire after a long day. That to me was the really romantic vision of what I wanted to wear. So like, what socks would I wear if I was curled up next to the fireplace? And so I wanted a pair of socks that kind of felt a little bit like house socks. So they're thick and squishy and snug, but at the same time, they have this sort of leg warmer section to the leg. So this is cozy and slouchy and warm and all of this kind of stuff, but it's not really meant to fit into boots. It's not meant to go in your pants. It's not meant to do any of those things. It's literally meant to be at home wearing your pajamas, sitting next to the fireplace and wearing a pair of socks that are quasi leg warmers. So that's the design inspiration behind these socks. So how these socks are actually constructed is they are knit from the toe up. They do have a section here with an eye of a partridge kind of stitch pattern, which snugs it up to your foot. And then they are knit with an afterthought heel. So basically all of this gray section is just knit straight. And I put in a little bit of a waist yarn here and then unpick that waist yarn afterwards and then insert this pink heel at the end of the day. So that is how the bottom of the foot is constructed. And then from here on up, this is 2-color brioche. So we've talked about 2-color brioche before in tutorials, and it's just an opportunity to do some brioche and have a little bit of fun with the contrasting colors. Now, obviously, you don't need to use such highly contrasting colors for this leg warmer section. You could choose 2 colors that are more similar. You could choose 2 colors that are more complementary. In this case, I wanted to, use a lighter color that had a little bit of a speckle to it, a little bit of a splashiness to it, and contrast that with the darker color underneath, just to show the contrast of what's going on here. But you could do whatever you like. 2 solid colors. You could even do 2 of the same colors if you really, really like. And then it finishes off with some 1x1 ribbing at the top, and you're all done. So that is the sock pattern that went into the Operation Sock Drawer book. So I encourage you to check this one out. Lots and lots of very inspiring, very interesting, very unusual sock designs in this book. Now, speaking of socks and sock yarn, I should probably mention that these socks are knit out of superwash worsted. So all of this is worsted weight yarn. This gray is worsted weight, this splashy color is worsted weight. The pink is actually Tough Love sock held double. And so it's held double in order to create like a very firm fabric, but also so that way you get the nylon in the heel and the toes to add a little bit more strength to this whole sock. So one more thing about these socks is that I actually put together some tutorials. I actually recorded tutorials as I was making these socks for the book. And so there is a tutorial about how to do an afterthought heel and also how to graft either toes or the end of your afterthought heel. So there's a grafting tutorial and there's an afterthought heel tutorial. Both of those are going to be available as well, so you can see those. Now, talking about yarn, one of the things that we are going to be doing that you'll notice on the website is that we have had for a long time, we've had a sock yarn that's called Bulletproof Sock. And we're actually going to be changing the name of Bulletproof Sock, and it's going to be called Mohair Silk Sock. Now, to explain a little bit about why we're changing the name from Bulletproof Sock to Mohair Silk Sock is because you'll notice that most of our yarns follow a bit of a convention where we're explaining to you what kind of fiber is in it and what kind of weight of yarn it is. So if it's like superwash DK, you know it's a superwash yarn and it's a DK weight. If it's a superwash worsted, it's a superwash yarn and it's a worsted weight. We also have merino silk lace, it's merino, and silk yarn, that's a lace weight. So what we wanted to do was make it much clearer what was in this sock yarn. We have 2 yarns that we really say are good for knitting socks. One of them is our most popular yarn. It's the Tough Love sock. It's an 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. The nylon gives that yarn strength. And so Tough Love sock has been a very, very popular yarn of ours for a long time because people use it to knit socks or people use it to knit shawls, people use it to knit sweaters, whatever. It's very, very flexible. Yeah, people were always a little bit confused about why we would need to have more than one sock yarn. If Tough Love Sock was perfectly good, why have another sock yarn? And I have to say that the reason why we added this second sock yarn was because of the characteristics of this yarn and how amazingly beautiful they are. So the mohair silk sock, as it will be known from now on, has a combination of 4 different fibers, and each one of these fibers is there for a reason. So 50% of it is superwash merino, so that's the bulk of the fiber. Soft, squishy, superwash makes it really receptive to dyes, and it also makes it very easy care. So superwash merino for about 50% of it. The other parts of it are mohair, obviously. Mohair is a beautiful, glossy, strong fiber. And in this case, I think a lot of people are very worried about mohair being fuzzy and itchy. And sometimes mohair can be used in a way that produces a very fuzzy yarn. But mohair is also a very strong, very shiny, very smooth fiber. And so when it's used in this mohair silk sock in this way, it lends strength and shine to this yarn. So you'll see that in the holiday collection that's coming up soon, I use the mohair silk sock in hand-woven scarves. And these hand-woven scarves are silky and drapey and shiny and gorgeous because of the mohair component. There's also another component to this fiber, and that's silk. So the silk obviously makes things soft and shiny and gorgeous and beautiful. So those are the 3 components so far. And then the last one is, again, like our Tough Love sock, it contains 20% nylon. And the nylon, again, is in there to mimic silk. It's in there to be strong, and it's to add strength to the yarn so that the yarn is extremely, extremely hard wearing. So I particularly like this second sock yarn, this mohair silk sock, because it is so versatile. You could use it for a shawl that's drapey and slinky and smooth and shiny, or you could use it for socks that have extremely good durability and are very reliable, that will hold up very well to wear and tear, even more so than the Tough Love sock. So if you have been using Bulletproof sock for all of these years and you're confused about where it's gone on the website, it has been renamed and it will be mohair silk sock from now on. And it kind of like goes in line with the other yarn that we have, which is mohair silk DK, which is a DK weight yarn that also has merino in it, that also has mohair, that also has silk in it as well. So that, again, which you guys have heard before, is also one of my favorite yarns. So I hope that if you've never tried knitting with a mohair blend sock yarn, that you'll give that a try, because mohair just adds so much strength and luster and beauty to your hand knit socks. Now, the very last thing that I want to mention to you guys today is a new project that I started. So you know that I've been working on my soundtrack sweater for some time now. I'm in the section where I'm just working on the body and just zooming through the body, and it's all stockinette in the round. And I don't know, I got intrigued to start something new. And so I was contacted by Abbye Dahl just a couple of weeks ago about doing a test knit for a sweater that she's coming out with near the end of November. And I saw the photo. I know, like I don't really have time to start another project, but I saw the photo and it was so pretty that I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. So it is a colourwork sweater. It's a colourwork sweater that's actually knit flat. And so in my history, in my experience, I don't particularly like knitting colourwork flat. I like knitting it in the round. If I have to, I will convert it and I will steek it and all sorts of things like that. In this case, because it's a test knit and because I wanted an opportunity to really practice what it's like to knit colourwork flat, I started, and I'm working on it already. You can see, this is my very incredibly tiny beginning. This is how far I've gotten. It's basically going to be knit in one piece. So ribbing for the bottom, I'm knitting the front right, the back, and the front left all at the same time. And then there's going to be color work all up to the armholes, and then you split for armholes. And so there is going to be a need to knit color work back and forth flat. And so that is what I am practicing right now. So it's a mix of multiple colors for this color work. The idea is that it uses up scrap leftover stashed yarns, whatever you happen to have that is DK weight. So Abbye designed the sweater so that it uses superwash DK. And so I got myself a couple of skeins of this beautiful mink color in the superwash DK. And so that's what I've used for this hem or this ribbing edge. And then for the actual colors, I chose to use a whole bunch of Tough Love sock because I had already picked all these colors. There's these two colors, but then there's all of these colors down here that are sitting right there. All of those colors I had sort of pulled aside to make some weaving projects for the studio here. And as they were sitting there, I was like, oh, those would be really nice for color work. So I'm basically using these skeins of Tough Love sock and I'm holding them double. So I basically wind them into center pull balls, you can see, and I take one from the inside, the strand from the inside, and the strand from the outside of the ball, and then I'm basically holding them together. You can see I'm holding them together so that I can knit them, and they're a little bit of a heavier weight. So the two Tough Love sock held together sort of mimics the weight of a DK. Because it's not 100% DK, I did decide to do a gauge swatch ahead of time. I was very good about that. Washed it, measured it, and everything, and I used that to figure out what size to actually knit for this sweater. So as I go along, I am going to be figuring out if there are best practices for knitting color work flat, and then I'll make a bit of a tutorial about that. So hopefully you can expect to see more of a finished sweater by the end of November. So that is basically all the random things that we have to talk about today. We have knitting things, subscription things, new book, new sock stuff, new sweater going on, lots of different things happening. I feel like now would be a really great time to just curl up on the couch with a big apple pie and just do a whole bunch of knitting. I've been doing a ton of weaving every night because I'm weaving all of those projects for the faux ECAT hand woven color class that's coming out very, very soon. And I had to finish up all of those weaving projects, but now I'm ready to just sit in my pajamas, wearing my cozy leg warmer socks and doing a whole bunch of knitting. I hope that you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave me a comment about what is making you guys happy these days, what is keeping your spirits up, how you are spending your time with your crafts. I would love to hear how you're doing. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you like this episode, please do hit the like button. And if you would like to see more content like this, please do hit subscribe. And we come here every Friday and we talk about knitting and yarn and happy things. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you guys in the next one. All right, bye for now.